Good evening. Welcome again to Varsity Sports Live here on Midco Sports. Tom Neiman along with Jason Andera back from Brandon Valley. Had the live game there tonight with BV and O'Gorman. 14 games in South Dakota in the semis tonight, and 10 of them at least were within a touchdown or less.
You called it. This was everything I would hope it'd be, and I can just feel through the television or the phone or whatever you're watching on, the tension on the other side, because there's so many teams that pulled out a late victory and there's so many teams that just missed out on getting a chance to play in the Dome. Feel for you, and we're excited for the rest of you, and I can't wait to give you the story behind the story in all these games coming up soon. 5
of the 6 nine-man games were 4 points or less in the finals.
Class 9A, those 4 undefeated teams had an average win of 30 points this year. They were just excellent games, all within a touchdown.
All right, we will get to the South Dakota stuff coming up here in just a few moments. Let's get up to West Fargo. Jody Norstead is standing by and had the semis tonight in 11AA and 11A up there. Jody, how was your night, my man?
Ooh, it's some very tight games, guys. Really exciting games. Maybe some things that we didn't expect took place, and it was a lot of fun. Jamestown with a big, powerful win over North kind of flexed its muscle. I don't want to spoil anything else, so why don't we just jump into the highlights? It was Century against West Fargo and Sheyenne against Shanley in that top semifinal matchup, 11AA. How about these two, though? Shanley and Sheyenne getting into the end zone right away. Grant Workentine on, you guessed it, a very long drive to start the game for the Mustangs. But Shanley is just one of those teams that has always kept it close. They were within 7 in the regular season matchup. They did that last year, too. Aiden Devine is into the end zone. Then Josh Henricks. We've seen this so much, him powering guys over, but we haven't seen this too much. Shanley is able to force a turnover. So off the fumble, are the Deacons able to capitalize on Jeremy Newton's Mustangs? Yes, they are. Michael Rosberg hands it off to Devine for his second touchdown of the game, and all of a sudden, Shanley is up 14-7. But here come the Mustangs. Grant Workentine. We haven't seen him run that much this season, but he rips off a big one here, 41 yards to tie things up at 14-all with 3 minutes left in the first half. But Shanley, a 4-play, 44-yard scoring drive. Michael Rosberg to Tyler Kraft, 14-yard score. Shanley's up 21-14 going into the locker room at halftime. But then the Mustangs do what the Mustangs do. Workentine showing some tough running skills again. The Mustangs pull ahead on the next touchdown. That made it 21-21. And here, actually, we're going to turn up some heat on the defense. Carter Menz was tremendous. This was on a 4th down play for Shanley. They went for it. They got stuffed with the sack. Then Caden Rahr with the go-ahead score. 29-21 Mustangs with 9 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. And then Sheyenne just started to dominate on both ends of the football. Menz again is able to wrap up John Gores, something that's been very tough to do for all the teams in the state this season. Workentine pulling it out on that veer option offense, and look at the wheels from the senior QB. He would not be denied a 3rd chance at a state championship. He lost out on those first 2 instances to Century. He's going to get back and quarterback his team to a 3rd Dakota Bowl. Not many quarterbacks can say that, but Grant Workentine can. We heard from him after the game in a 36-21 victory for the Mustangs.
We're going to get in close games. I mean, it's kind of good for us to have that challenge. The guys overcame it really well. We went into the locker room and kind of talked about things we needed to work on, and came out and executed as a family, which is kind of the biggest thing, you know, just a big team win.
Newton got us hype in the locker room. We knew we had to come out with some fire second half. Just make plays.
It's huge. I mean, it's something you kind of talk about at the beginning of the season, and then, I mean, to get this far and you hear them beat Century, which is a really good program, you're like, hey, let's win this game. You know, we want to go play them. We want to go play the Packers, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting.
For the 7th straight year, either Century or West Fargo will be in the Dakota Bowl. It's been quite a run for these 2 decorated programs, but one would come out the winner, and it's pretty crazy because Century really hung it on West Fargo earlier this season. Here is a punt highlight. It's a 76-yard punt when it's all said and done from Peyton Jancy. Ryan Brynjolfsson, no chance of returning that in field position. Such a critical part of the game when you are a Jay Gibson-led team. They eventually capitalize with points. Peyton Jancy to Jaden Grefsrud over the middle, and they score And actually, they didn't score on the points on the punt. That was later in the game. It's 6-0 West Fargo. That was the score at halftime. Century was held at 27 yards in the first half. Then Carson Hegerle getting in on the action catching, and Carson Hegerle getting in on the action kicking. Puts West Fargo up 9-0 in the fourth quarter. That's huge in this game, but Century hasn't been able to do anything because, boy, guys like Carter Hansen were all over Brady Dahl. Big sack there, and Hansen ends up injuring Dahl on that play. So in comes Kyan Barth for one play, and he's picked off. Dorian Tarley with a huge turnover for the Packers. They turn it over on downs eventually, so West Fargo back on defense, need to stop, call 44. Hansen, another big sack of Brady Dahl. They eventually have to throw it away, incomplete. West Fargo gets the ball from the 5-yard line, and that is one of my favorite players in the state. Josh Ballstead, a fullback, does not get a lot of the glory, and they hand it to him, and I think Jake Gibson did that on purpose to reward his senior fullback for what he's been able to do, paving the way for Parker Nelson this season and how good he's been in the second half of the year, really the final three quarters of the year. But West Fargo is a winner tonight, 15-0. They're going back to the Dakota Bowl to try to win their second title in about 5 years. Let's hear from the Pack afterwards.
It's great, our defense steps up the whole game, and our line steps up, our run game, and we just get a bunch of blockers, and then, just the one opportunity that Jaden gets, and we just connect, and it felt great.
I mean, if I'm giving a game ball tonight, I'm giving it to the entire defense. To shut out a quality team like Century, everyone's got to do their jobs, and believe me, we weren't shooting for a shutout. We just, wanted to score one more point than they did. So it was incredible effort.
We've been dreaming about this since, we were playing FM athletics back in 4th grade. We get the opportunity that nobody else gets, and whoever we play, we'll be ready.
And back in 4th grade, I'd imagine they were playing against a lot of those Cheyenne kids that they'll be playing in the Fargo Dome next week. How about that? All West Fargo championship in 11AA. North and Jamestown, they haven't sniffed the Dakota Bowl much in the last 2 decades. North hasn't been there since they won it all in 2000. Jamestown looking for the first one since 1994. Peyton Hochhalter finding Preston Craver, who says, I want to get there right now. 50-yard touchdown, 6-0 Jamestown. Spartans trying to answer. They lost Mason Lockwood early in this game, their leading rusher, and their offense just could not get anything going. Daniel Boutain intercepted by Adam Kallenbach. Few plays later, Kallenbach, he's going to make another play. Hochhalter throws it up to him, and the big fella goes in and hauls it in for the touchdown. Same thing that he did last week against Red River. 12-0, then it's quickly going to be 20-0 because Brody Hillstrom hauls this pass in 75 yards to the house. Everything has been so good in that passing game since Hochhalter came back from that collarbone injury. He's been having a lot of fun. Still in the first, Boutain gets it going here with a pass to Nathaniel Friddle. That connection has been so good for Adam Rowland's team over the last few seasons, but the Spartans couldn't finish the drive. 4th and goal for Boutain. He rolls to his right, but couldn't find anyone open. Jamestown just with so many athletes in that secondary, led by Kallenbach. Jamestown drives 95 yards down the opposite way here, and yeah, you guessed it, the Kallenbach kid, he's so good. 26-0 Jamestown, 4 minutes left in the first half, 18 seconds left in the half now. How about some extra credit? Yeah, Kallenbach laying out for a spectacular grab. It was 33-0 at halftime. Jamestown is flying to the Fargo Dome with a 41-24 victory. They're partying like it is 1994 in the Buffalo City. Blue Jays, let's hear from them after the game.
This is kudos to the kids. This is kudos to the coaches, the community. I mean, this is top to bottom. It's kind of surreal. We've always talked about going 1-0 every week. That's the whole goal. These kids have just continued to work and do anything that's asked of them, and couldn't be more proud of them right now.
Everyone did their part. Our line did amazing. Wide receivers ran perfect routes and everything, and our defense pulled it off again. We played a really good game.
It's just a dream come true. Ever since we were little kids, we always dreamed of going to play a state ship, and that time's come.
Feels amazing. I mean, our team, we pulled it off, and now we're doing it for the city of Jamestown, and we're glad to be going there.
Well, they won a basketball state title a handful of years ago. Now they're going to try to win it on the football field against St. Mary's or Dickinson. St. Mary's trying to make their way back to state or the Dakota Bowl. They've just always seemed to be so strong at the end of the year. Just before the end of the first half, that's Felkley, Isaac Felkley, making it 13-7 at the break. Third quarter, some fireworks on both sides here. Troy Berg drops a dime to Carson Weiler. Midgets take a 14-13 lead. Then on the ensuing kickoff, another home run play. This time it's Felkley on the return. He's gone. The Saints are back in front after the 90-plus yard return. Dickinson has a last chance here. This is 4th and a mile. Berg, an electric year for this senior who really gave this team everything he could. They couldn't come up with a miracle. They are not able to beat St. Mary's tonight. 19-14 the final. Nick Schumacher, Nate Fedorchak, Britt Senfner, all those guys on that St. Mary's team. Congrats to them. The Saints are moving on with a 5-point victory over Dickinson. You see that 10-1 record, the one loss to the team they will meet next week. And if you bring up the shot of me, you'll see the big helmet right out front, those Jamestown Blue Jays. That was a 20-7 win for the Blue Jays back about a month ago. So congrats. We have our final championship matchup set in 11AA and 11A. Jamestown will take on St. Mary's, and of course Sheyenne against West Fargo. And again, a rematch from the regular season. Sheyenne dominated the line of scrimmage, much like they have against a lot of teams throughout the season. But West Fargo, probably a completely different team with the way Parker Nelson has been rolling, with the way Josh Ballstead has been blowing people out and making huge holes for Parker Nelson, and also what he's done defensively. Packers much better defensively, and it's West Fargo versus West Fargo, baby, inside the Fargo Dome for the 11AA title come next week. That should be a lot of fun. Of course, we have a lot of games coming up tomorrow, 4 of them. In fact, 4 semifinal games in 11B and 9B. We're going to break all that down coming up next. Brad Anderson and Chase Miller joined me earlier this week to break it all down. Unfortunately, I'm not wearing the orange suit in the interview coming up. We'll see you back here right after the break.
Varsity Sports Live on Midcoast Sports is presented by Farmers Union Insurance. Varsity Sports Live on Midcoast Sports is presented by Avera Orthopedics and South Dakota State University.
Home is where the heart is, and home is where the wins were last week in 11B and 9B. All 8 Class B teams hosting in the quarterfinal round came out on top, so no upsets to talk about, although we nearly had a few. Surrey played Cavalier pretty tough in 9B. Kindred and Langdon Edmore Munich were back and forth all game, and it took Bishop Ryan 3 overtimes to get it done against Belleville. Brad Anderson, Chase Miller, back to discuss it all. Before we get to those semis, what were your biggest takeaways from the quarterfinal, Brad?
Well, I'd say in 11B, the close games, the kind of the parity of that, I think, really showed. The only exception being Central Cass and Hillsborough Central Valley. I mean, you had the hijinks in Minot with all the overtimes and back and forth with Langdon and Kindred. And, you know, Bowman County had to play a really strong second half. They were a little wobbly in the first half against Des Lacs, and they finished strong.
Chase?
For me, it's you talked about where home is the heart is, right? It's been tough to beat if you're on opposing teams. 11B teams are 11-1 at home this year. 9B, it's 13-3 if you have the home field advantage. I was most impressed by Cavalier winning a slugfest with Surrey. It was a season low of points for both teams, and Cavalier was able to win one where you barely score of a double digits, Jody, and you're able to go to the semifinals.
And now it's going to be a challenge for those Tornadoes on the road. Let's take a look at the 11B semifinals first, though. 4-seeded Bishop Ryan is matched up at top-ranked Hillsborough Central Valley. The first meeting between these two programs. The Lions are playing a semifinal game for the 3rd consecutive season. Pretty impressive, right? Well, the Burros are in the Final Four for a 6th straight year. 2 very successful programs in recent years. What'll be the difference on Saturday, Brad?
If there's been one little wart in Hillsborough Central Valley in the 2 weeks in the playoffs, is there's been like an early mistake. Lisbon caught him on an onside kick to start that game, and then Central Cass got a turnover early, and neither of them took full advantage. So it seems like I've seen Hillsborough in person twice, watch a little video. It seems like if they make mistakes, it's early in games, but they seem to overcome that very well. And if that happens again, it's going to be tough for Bishop Ryan because I was really impressed with their defense. They flew to the football well. They just are very efficient and simple and can complete passes when they have to. And overall, that was a grade A performance against Central Cass.
Kind of a microcosm of their season. a mistake early, the loss to Central Cass, and since then they've been really good. Bishop Ryan, though, the freshman QB has been unreal. Jet Lundeen didn't throw a touchdown and was intercepted 3 times in the season opener. Since then, 13 passing touchdowns to 5 interceptions, over 1,700 yards. But Riley Olson and Jace LeShook, Parker Gallagher, a lot of talent on that Hillsborough Central Valley team. That should be interesting to watch. Kindred and Bowman County square off at 2 o'clock in Kindred. In the other semi, the Vikings have won their playoff games by a combined 5 points. Chase, how nervous should Kindred fans be going into Saturday's matchup?
I think you should be fairly nervous. Main reason why Bowman County has a great senior combination in terms of Quay Lardy finding Clay Heimer. Their senior class was freshman back in 2018 when Bowman County lost to Langdon area at Munich in the semifinals. And for this co-op that's been about 15, 16 years, they're trying to get to their first Fargo Dome Dakota Bowl appearance. While Kindred a year ago at this time, horrible first half against Bismarck St. Mary's, almost came back and won on the road. So what are those demons from a year ago in what was formerly 11, a AA? And the thing is now, Jody, if you're Bowman County, a 372-mile trek, they got some confidence, but the Bulldogs, again, undefeated when they score 12 or more, so they don't need a lot to get there. But I think to Brad's point, we'll see how much the East and the West kind of flare off here in 11B. It'll be a lot of fun to see.
You might have time for a couple of sports movies on that bus ride. We'll see how that plays out. Quickly, let's get to some picks. One sentence reason, give me your picks for the 2 winners in 11B.
Hillsborough Central Valley, I just think they're just efficient and effective, basically. And on the other side, I think Kindred, I think home field wins it this time around. We'll see how long, if Bowman has the bus legs, and it just seems like they've done just enough in 2 weeks to get it done to get to this point. And I think they can do it again.
I'm going to go Hillsborough Central Valley. That line playing at home for Scott Olson. If you look at the 6-year run, they played at home a lot. And then I'm going to go with an upset here. Bowman County, I think, will get enough of Kindred, and they'll get that passing game going. We'll see. But I think Bowman County needs to play awfully well to try to go to Kindred and find a win.
But there's a Chase Miller on Kindred.
I know.
And you're not going with the Vikings.
I know. No relation.
Hillsborough Central Valley's defense is playing lights out, so I'm going with them. Kindred, their advantage, no bus ride, and I just think they're deeper. So we'll see how that plays out. In 9B, Bottineau visits the slaughterhouse that is Lemoore-Litchfield-Marion. The Lobos have outscored opponents by an average of 51 points, but Grant County Flasher managed to score 22 against them last week. Meanwhile, Bottineau has flown under the radar all year. They're right behind the Lobos in points allowed per game, surrounding only 7 points per game. We knew Lemoore would be back in this round, probably back in August, guys. I think we can all agree on that. I don't think any of us had a clue that Bottineau, a program that had 3 wins combined over the previous 3 seasons, would be playing for a trip to the Dakota Bowl this year. How did the Braves pull the upset, Brad?
Well, I think they got to win the turnover battle, and I think time of possession too. You got to, the time I saw the Lobos play this year, Enderley Maple Valley had a huge edge in time of possession. Lemoore just got them on big plays, especially in the first half of that game. I think they've got to try and you've got to limit Lettenmeyer. I don't know if he gets enough credit with the much as they like to throw the ball. And Potts has a lot of weapons, but I think they've got to force the Lobos to 2nd and 3rd and long, and not many teams have done that this year.
Yeah, and certainly not. The other semifinal, Cavalier against New Salem-Almont, those 2 programs have had a ton of success over the last 5 years. Over the last 6 seasons, both have had 10-plus wins 4 times. Who are your X-Factor players in this one? I'll start with you, Chase.
Trevor Hinkle, I think the guy who made the game-winning interception in the last 90 seconds against Surrey. I think you've seen his particular maturation. Obviously, we've heard a lot of the Tornadoes with Bryson Clement, what he was able to do back from a team that made the Dakota Bowl from last year. And then all of a sudden, talking to Mitch Greenwood earlier, you got Sandy Laxdal that's still with the radio crew. He's still able to bounce some stuff of him. And then, Rod Oxenall made a trek up to Cavalier last weekend and got to see a good old slobber knocker. So, you got a lot of lineage there, but I think on Cavalier's side, Hinkle and Clem obviously 1A and 1B, and then they're probably going to be undersized against a very big front in New Salem-Almont that scored a bevy of points, 42 or more in their last 6 weeks.
Yeah, and for an X factor for New Salem-Almont, I would have to go with Dylan Root. 11 touchdown catches this season, 5 return touchdowns, 4 kick returns, 1 punt return. He's been pretty impressive. Give me a couple of winners here. Who's meeting in the Dakota Bowl next week in 9B?
I think Lemoore-Litchfield-Marion, this is where they got bounced last year, was in the semis to Linton. I don't think it happens again. I think they're on a mission. And I have flip-flop between Cavalier and New Salem. I'm gonna take the road team here. I'm just gonna go with tournament experience here and take the Tornadoes.
If Botno can get the upset for head coach Zach Keller, Jacob Shriver needs like 35 touches for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's been able to do it, but he's going to need to do it against the best competition. I'm going Lamorlich from Marion. They just got too much weapons. And I think the home team prevails in a tight one against the Cavalier Tornadoes. Give me the Holsteins.
Yeah, I would go Lamorlich Marion because they've been the top team all year. I mean, you laid out some numbers for Botno. Pretty impressive what they've been able to do coming into this game undefeated, but the Lobos are a whole different animal. The Tornadoes' defense has been really stellar. Only one team has scored multiple touchdowns against them over the last 7 games. The Holsteins, meanwhile, hung up 30 in the second half last week. They had a rally. They were down 2 at the break to Divide County. I just, in my preseason blog, I had New Salem 1 spot ahead of Cavalier, so I have to hold true to that all the way back to the preseason. I'm going to say that New Salem is going to pull this one off. Should be a fun game, should be a physical game. Thanks again to both of you guys for coming on. We'll be back next week to preview the Dakota Bowl. Yeah, we're already there. Look for that on our Midco Sports social media pages in the middle of the week. Good luck to the 8 remaining Class B teams on Saturday.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports is presented by Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. Let's get to the South Dakota side of things tonight on Semifinal Friday in all 7 classes. Just trying to piece some more information together here, but let's go.
So much good stuff. Yeah, let's just dig right into it, Tom, and find out how the Harrisburg Tigers did. They played Lincoln within a touchdown the very first time they played them. It was close this time, too.
35-28, first time around in the regular season between these two teams, with Harrisburg trying to stay unbeaten, get back to the Dome, and finish off some business they didn't finish last year. But Lincoln,
Schaefer to Gage Gardner getting the possession going, and then Schaefer, he likes to finish off his own drives. Gets a nice no good on the field goal there, and Harrisburg take advantage. They would get down a lot early this year, so for them to capitalize on that missed field goal and get a Jacob Knuth 54-yard touchdown, they were feeling much better. That's the way it was at half, right?
Yeah, second drive for the Tigers. It was 7-0. They had a couple interceptions. Harrisburg picks by Nick Chan and Quinn Wessel. So, yeah, it was 7-0 at halftime.
Carter
Barenfoos has had some big picks for the Tigers in big games this year. Gets another one there. That's the 3rd interception through 3 quarters. And then Gavin Ross with a touchdown to make it 14-0.
Yeah, the guy that averages 160 yards a game in AAA gets it done.
Lincoln would get on the board with about 6 minutes to go in the game.
There's a Gutierrez fumble, so again, turnovers killing Lincoln. That's really been their kryptonite all season long before Tate Schaefer finds Trenton Peterson with the crazy catch.
Right off the top of the turf. So it's 14-7, still with some time, but Bryce Soley ends the drive for Harrisburg with a field goal to make it 17-7. Lincoln would come back with a field goal to make it 17-10. And then the Pats trying the onside kick, trying to get it back here with a minute to go or so. Tigers jump on it, and Lincoln gives them a great run again, Jandy, but 17-10, Harrisburg unbeaten at 11-0.
That Schaefer field goal, by the way, that we just saw from Lincoln was with 12 seconds left. So it was kind of a desperation attempt. They thought, we got to put this thing up and see if we can play. Great season by the Sioux Falls Lincoln Patriots. But Harrisburg keeps the dream alive, and they punch their ticket one more round. Here's the coach after the game.
This is a really exciting moment for us. We've been battling all season long, and this has been our main goal to get back to the Dome. And we're looking forward to it. It's like a family for real. And we've been together for so long, and we're just looking forward for one more game in the Dome.
Lincoln, they balled out, man. They gave us everything we could handle. We didn't do a very good job in the red zone. We should have a lot more points than that. But you know what? I told the guys right there, it doesn't matter how you win as long as you win. And we've been battle tested. That's going to come into play next week. And we're just excited to be back at our 6th title in the last 12 years. So it's a credit to what these guys do in the offseason, and can't be more proud of our coaching staff, our families at home, and especially these players.
You know what? I thought this was going to be a much higher scoring game. Only 17-10. The Tigers were tamed a little bit but they got it done, taking the ball away from Lincoln. And that's been the one thing that has really crippled Lincoln this year is just too many turnovers.
Pats go 6-5, 2 of those losses to Harrisburg, though. So Lincoln,
good season.
It was a good year for them, but too many giveaways tonight as Harrisburg moving into the championship. Brandon Valley and O'Gorman in Brandon. Game we had live here tonight. This was another close game during the regular year, but Noah Thompson played some quarterback
Yeah,
tonight.
so they've had some packages for him this year. Hasn't thrown a pass all year. He came out, ran the first 2 plays, one for 19 yards, one for 44 yards, and that touchdown, huge spark for Brandon Valley early on. O'Gorman came back. They couldn't get a touchdown. They were in field goal range a couple of times, ended up converting on back-to-back field goals to make it 7-6.
Andrew Nelson was good on a couple, and it was a 7-6 ball game, but Brandon Valley on the ground was very good again. Thompson banging to the outside.
Yeah, once again, a 4th down. They decided to give it to Noah Thompson. He caps off the drive, gets himself another touchdown. He would get 14. The O'Gorman Knights would tie the game at 14, but after that, the ground game took over, and you saw Jordan Johnson absolutely dominate this drive to give them a lead. They would end up getting a 2-touchdown lead. O'Gorman would try to trim that by getting another touchdown late, but it was too little too late as they made it 28-20 on this Bennett Dannenbrink touchdown.
That is the final, though, as Noah Thompson, 3 touchdowns on the night for Brandon Valley.
Can't say enough about what that kid did. He stepped into play, quarterback, and just gave them clutch run after clutch run. Defensively, he made the plays, and I just am really impressed by the way they went about their business on this night. Interim head coach Matt Christensen was also impressed with his team.
It takes a lot to beat excellent football teams like O'Gorman, and it takes kids playing both ways when we need them. It takes coaches preparing for everything we possibly can prepare for. It takes special tackling efforts, special coverage efforts, special pass rushing efforts when they run such difficult schemes to defend. And it takes special kids that want to play for each other and play for the Coach Garrow cause here.
I mean, collision course all year between Harrisburg and Brandon Valley. It's going to happen.
It's going to be different than it was a couple weeks ago when Brandon Valley made 5 turnovers in that game and let it get out of hand. This is going to be a really good big boy football in 11 AAA.
And O'Gorman started the year 1-4. They played as well as anybody down the stretch, but the Knights fall to Brandon Valley here in the semis.
They're going to have a really good team next year. A lot of good teams in AAA, but they'll be really good.
All right, let's get to 11 AA. Yankton at T tonight. They didn't play each other at all during the regular season, but this was a shootout, Jandy. Cale Lundeen to Clayton Sattler, who made some fantastic catches.
That's becoming one of the deadliest combinations in all of South Dakota high school football.
Rugby Riken, though, to Cody Oswald, ties it at 7 early. And T kept getting the lead. Yankton kept coming back big. Sattler coming back for that one, again from Lundeen to make it 14-7. And then the Titans again would go up 21-7 on a Lundeen to Nathan Babb score. And it looks like they're going to run away with it, but they did not.
Yeah, and they usually do. They just love to run the ball. Usually they pass the ball to get the scores and usually just run and hide after that. It's been a lot of fun watching this T-Area Titans team and seeing what they can do in the AA class, and they are physical enough to do that.
Chase Van Tol with a great catch there.
That's unbelievable.
Lundeen completed 9 passes in the first half. 4 of them went for touchdowns, so it's 28-7. And then the Titans on a long drive here, they go up 35-7.
Yeah, it's over, right?
Yankton.
No, they've got Rugby Riken, and he comes back with a nice little 9-yard touchdown. He's got plenty of time. Look at that. Finally gets rushed out of the pocket, and he can keep a play alive. Playing some playground football, throws it in there for Max Round.
All right, so the Bucks, after being down 35-7, get the score there.
Yeah, James Stewart plugged one in, and all of a sudden it's 35-21.
35-21. There's about 4 minutes left. Riken, again, buying time. He had time, makes more time, comes back to Jaden Krall for a touchdown. Off the top of the turf, 35-28.
There's a minute left here in the fourth quarter.
Yankton had it 4th and goal at the T3-yard line, and again, Riken eluding everybody.
Oh boy.
And he gets it into the end zone, and the Bucks get a hand on it, but T knocks it down. That's the last play of the game, and Yankton comes all the way back, only to fall 35-28.
That's the first time I saw that, Tom. I heard about it. That was close, and that is as close as anyone has played T area this year. They played him into the fourth quarter after that big lead. I think that right there shows the grit of this Yankton Buck team, but I'll tell you what, T area is the team to beat.
Ryken, you see his passing numbers there. He had 126 yards rushing as well for Rugby Ryken, but 4 touchdowns for Lundeen, 2 great touchdown grabs by Sattler. Yankton outscored him by 100 yards in this game, but a great first time around for these two teams this year as T is 11-0 and moving on to the championship game. All right, another good one in Pierre. This is Aberdeen Central and Pierre had a shootout a couple of weeks ago in the regular season. Sam Rolfs to Alec Vogel has been a fantastic connection for the Golden Eagles, so they get into the lead. Trey Lewis had 3 touchdown runs tonight. The guys on the stream were talking about how he had 2 during the regular season, but they went to the ground game. Austin Erickson, the young fullback for Aberdeen Central.
I was going to say, a couple surprises. Erickson running the ball. You got Trey Lewis running the ball. Guys who hadn't done a lot during the season. It just goes to show that you get a little depth and make it work. And Sam Rolfs, he was playing at his best at the end of the year.
Aberdeen Central's up 21-7 on the road. Here's Lewis again, though, and it's 21-14 at halftime. And then Jaden Wiebe here in the third quarter with a touchdown to tie it at 21. Rolfs, this is a long throw into the end zone after he scrambles here, but it's still 21-21. Govs will pick it off to end that drive. And then with about 5 minutes to go, Jandy, Trey Lewis with his 3rd touchdown of the game puts Pierre in the lead for the first time, 28-21. And then Rolfs, dangerous as ever, but last gasp and last play of the game, the Govs get to him. And Pierre, after being down 21-7, comes back to win it 28-21.
I mean, we could do a story on every one of these games so far. This is crazy. Pierre had that big takeaway in the end zone that really turned this game back toward them, but then they did enough to hold them off at the end. And how about Trey Lewis? 3 touchdown runs for the kid, now almost 100 yards rushing. Lincoln Keynote's had some really huge games this year, but they needed the Trey Lewis tonight, and he came up big.
Aberdeen Central 4-7. They had some good signs, though. Of,
they played way better in the second half of this season. Yeah. Even though they kept losing until these last 2 weeks, they had a really tough schedule, and they were up for the challenge.
So it'll be Pierre and T area in the 11AA championship. Let's go to 11A, Jandy. Dell Rapids and Madison. Great rivalry over the years. Best programs in this class for so many years. 6 punts to start this game, and then they finally got some offense going. Austin Henry to Landon Rusink for a great grab. They bring him down there, but Henry goes in for the touchdown.
You know, Dell Rapids, after they lost to Madison a couple weeks ago, they've averaged 33 points and given up 9 points per game over the last 4 weeks. They are a much improved team.
You get a Trey Smith touchdown there to tie it up at 7. And that was
a little surprise.
7-7 at halftime, and Madison got out to the lead in the third quarter on a 12-play drive. Good throw there by Ricky to get it going, and they finish it off with a Trey Smith touchdown. So it's 13-7 Bulldogs. And then Ricky had a big night on the ground. Ricky carried it 30 times and got through the air as well to Dylan Bickett with the score. So Madison goes up 20-7. Dell's not done by any means. They come back, make it 20-14. Another Smith touchdown put Madison ahead 28-14. Austin Henry had another score. He had 3 touchdowns on the ground, but it was 35-28. Madison went on a long drive at the end of the game, burned up some time, got another Trey Smith field goal, and the Bulldogs hang on to win it 38-28. So Madison 11-0 going to the Dome again. Ricky, though, 30 carries for 235 yards on the ground.
You know, almost every game he throws for right around that 180, 100 whatever yards, but when he runs like that and they had the entire ground game that they had tonight, they're really tough to stop.
Dells finishes 7-4, 2 of those losses to the unbeaten Madison Bulldogs. So the other matchup in 11A, Milbank on the road at Vermillion. And both of these teams, have they been surprises this year a little bit?
You bet they have. At the beginning of the year, I did not have either in my top 5. I knew this Milbank team was good, but their defense is the star.
They converted on a 4th and 15 right there, and then Caden Krause with a sneaky touchdown to put Milbank in the lead 8-0. Vermillion was driving it all night. They actually fumbled the opening kickoff.
It's Mackay Sheffield, who's such a multi-talented guy. There's a look at Coach Tom O'Boyle as well. Jack Kratz, great dual threat quarterback, trying to move him down the field as they hit zone Robinson. Just couldn't get that big play that they are so accustomed to. They get close and cough it up.
Yeah, they moved it up and down. That fumble's inside the 10-yard line, picked up by Milbank. And then they turn it around and on the ground again with Caden Krause. So Milbank up 14-0. That was really all they needed tonight because their defense got the shutout.
Yeah, last week it was Bennett Schwen, and here's a look at Bennett Schwen right here. And I know that's what Vermillion was really focused on stopping. And, he didn't blow it up tonight, but he made a couple good plays.
With the speed, Krause here.
There's a little toss up to the side to Sawyer Gower.
So Gower makes it 21-0. And the Bulldogs playing in the Dome tonight. They're going to go back again next weekend. Bennett Schwen added a late field goal to make it 24-0 and Milbank into the championship.
How about that? They had a lot of talent back this year, but the only non-DAC 12 team that has been in the finals since they won it back in 2009. This is kind of an outsider getting there, and we talked to Brian Allmendinger, who's made it to the Dome a couple times, the coach of Milbank, right after the game.
Yeah, I mean they're really physical. They tackle very, very well. They've been playing a lot better lately, I think, just because they've been limiting it, home runs and things like that. Rally around the football. They just play very sound defense, and they spend a lot of time watching film. So, they're very smart players. They're passionate about the game of football, and to play great defense like they have been, I mean, back-to-back, goose eggs, that's pretty cool. So my defense coordinator might owe a mistake or something in here after the season. So, yeah, they've just been playing great.
Remember last week, Milbank shut out Canton 6-0.
Back-to-back goose eggs, and Brian Allmendinger said it. He loves his coaching staff. I talked to him earlier this week, and he just can't get over how well detailed they are, but I know it's Brian leading the charge. He does a great job of coaching that team up as well.
And good season for Vermillion. The Tanagers finish at 7-4 this year.
Great season for them. Great to see the Dakota Dome rocking again for some Tanager football.
All right, 11B, let's get to winner on the stream here. Jandy taking on Elk Point-Jefferson. Winner, the defending champions, unbeaten coming into this one, and they take care of business. Aiden Barfus on a touchdown there to make it 14-0 early. Elk Point-Jefferson gets a score out of Noah McDermott, and it's 14-6. But then Joey Cole slinging that to Ethan Bartels.
Typical winner. They can throw. They just don't have to very often. They've got a good quarterback in Joey Cole.
22-6 at halftime. And then Riley Orrell weaving his way 43 yards here. They're going to get him right there, but that'll lead to a Caden Keyser touchdown for winner.
Yeah, and Keyser, one of the 4 guys over 400 yards for this winner offense. He had 81 yards rushing tonight with 2 scores.
Touchdown grab here by Garrett Merkley for Elk Point-Jefferson.
That was pretty sweet.
Made it 30-14, and then winner put it away. Keyser again banging and going to the outside and getting into the end zone again.
This is a very physical Elk Point-Jefferson team, and winner is just so much more physical than anybody else. Riley Orrell, by the way, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns. We talked about what Barfus and Keyser did, and they only gave up 70 yards rushing to a team that had run for 400 yards in the last 2 weeks. This is a really good winner team.
Elk Point-Jefferson finishes up at 8-3 on a good season. So winner into the championship at 11B, Beresford and Bridgewater Emory Ethan. This was a really good game as well. Pick it up with Bridgewater Emerson in the lead 20-7, but Tate Van Otterloo hooking it up for Beresford, and then we get a touchdown here, I believe, to Michael Shagrood. And it's 20-14. The Watchdogs coming back.
And whenever they're close, you know they have a chance to win. They've won 2 really close games in the last 2 weeks.
I believe that was the touchdown by Peyton Friedrich that put Beresford in the lead 21-20. But Caden Klum to Sutton Aaron, they hooked it up a couple of times here in the last couple minutes of the game.
It's so funny.
Again,
there it is.
To Aaron to put him in the lead 28-21.
Same thing with Bridgewater Emerson. When they have to throw, they can. And they did that against Sioux Valley a couple weeks ago. They did that tonight against Beresford.
Beresford, one last gasp. Jay Storm, interception for Bridgewater Emerson. And that would lock it up. So the Seahawks got out to that big lead. Beresford came back, took the lead. And then Bridgewater Emerson ends up winning at 28-21.
And once again, 3rd year in a row, we're going to see Bridgewater Emerson take on winner for the 11B title.
All right, 9AA, Jandy. We got Canastota Freeman at Parkston, and just early on here.
Yeah, we had a nice little hookup here between Tage Ortman and Noah Kleinsaucer as they get things cooking in the offense, and Canastota, not known for their passing, but they were able to strike 8-0. It was in the 8-8 at the end of the first quarter, and then Canastota added one on to go up by a score at halftime. But Cole Prunty is a problem. There's a look at Cole Prunty right there for Parkston. He finds a way to get it in the end zone, and this has been Parkston's formula all year. They would finally get this thing capped off in the 4th quarter. It took Tage Ortman a pass to get this thing done, but 2 really good 9AA teams.
Yeah, Parkston had the lead 20-16. Ortman to Ortman with that touchdown with 1:17 to go for Canastota Freeman as they pull off the win, and the 11 seed Canastota Freeman into the 9AA championship.
Tage threw for 247, by the way, in that game.
Tage Ortman, big game there. So it'll be Canastota Freeman taking on PLATTE-GEDDES as they went to Timberlake tonight. 23-20 the final in this one. PLATTE-GEDDES was down 20-15. They got a Grayson Hanson to Joey Foxley touchdown late in the game for the final margin. So the Panthers back in the championship as they are the defending champions in 9AA.
And then Dawson Hoffman sealed it with an interception right at the end of the game. Grayson Hanson ran for 162 and 2 touchdowns. They came from behind. They have had the toughest road to the Dome, beating Chester, having to beat Hanson, having to go on the road and beat Timberlake, and now they get to play Canastota Freeman.
All right, let's get to 9A, Jandy. And Howard, it got a little weird in Howard tonight as they were hosting Wall. And they're right away. Field goal here by Wall as the road team gets out to the early lead. And
here's the weird part.
Then it got dark. Somebody hit a pole somewhere in town and the lights went out, and there was a 50-minute delay to get the lights back on, so it took a couple hours to play the first half.
And that does affect the game a little bit. Yeah, the crowd's getting into it, but it does affect the game a little bit. It lets you, have like an extra little halftime to talk about what to do. But Wall came out with Mason Heath. He's kind of a rodeo rider, and he came in to play football this year and really gave them a lift. He got a touchdown. Khalees for Howard got a touchdown. So they traded touchdowns. Wall still up by 3. And then the quarterback, Hoyer, brings it in for Howard. And at this point, I thought Howard was going to pull away, but it didn't take long for Wall to answer. They pitched one out to Cedar Amiot, who throws the ball to Rylan McDonald. I'll tell you what, Lex Heathershaw, their head coach, told me they were going to do this. He said, we're going to pass against Howard. Nobody's done it. We can do it. And he was right, but they couldn't hold him off.
Yeah, they got to the lead. Wall was up 17-14, and then Carson Feldhaus with the touchdown there for Howard. No scoring in the 4th quarter as the Tigers go ahead. They're 21-17 and hang on and win it. First loss of the season for the Eagles, and the Tigers into the championship game in 9A.
Toughest game of the year for Howard, and they survive. Another tough game coming up in 9A on the other side of the bracket.
DeSmet and Herreid Selby have been fantastic all season, both undefeated coming into this game. Kalen Gary, one of the best around for DeSmet.
He averages nearly 20 yards a carry this season. He has been phenomenal, and his speed usually just kills the opponents. They did get one on him right there.
Colt Wilkinson buying some time, and then Gary with the grab. So DeSmet gets out to the lead, grabs a 6-0 lead, and they would go up 14-0 at halftime here against Herreid Selby. Gary winding through for the touchdown. 2-point conversion good. So 14-0, but Herreid Selby coming back here. Brendan Begeman.
Oh, what a dive.
Touchdown, Wolverines. He got the 2-point conversion as well to make it 14-8. They go for the onside kick after that touchdown. A little poocher.
Trust me, they got it.
And they get on it. And then Trey Heddick to Trevor Gill.
Yeah, they can pass a little bit.
Make it 14-14. Begeman with the 2-point conversion, and this was crucial.
They went for 2. He converts. They're up by 2, 16-14. Then the D's really turned up a notch. The nasty 9 getting it done. It would come down to turnovers. That was a big one.
Begeman again here. Herreid Selby trying to run out some clock late in the game, and they would do it. Victory formation, and after DeSmet gets out to a 14-0 lead, Herreid Selby comes back to win it 16-14.
Yeah, and I picked against them, and they're my team. Let's hear what they had to say.
Yeah, we came out at half. Coach told us, got to get the train on the tracks and get it chugging. We just got to turn those 2-yard runs into 3-yard and 4-yard and 5-yard. And our offensive line and defensive line really stepped up, got some sacks, and started making some holes. We came out and started running the ball really well. We made it to the Dome. We're all really excited about that. We put in so much time and effort. And I know it means so much to all the guys, and I just want to say that we're nasty.
He just seems to wear teams down when it comes to the second half. Yeah, we've seen on film he's kind of had a little bit of fumble troubles, and I hit hard and hit the ball out, and it was a nasty play.
We knew we weren't going to go quietly, and we got momentum going in the second half, and we were able to score. And once we scored, it was a football game. And our kids know we beat a good football team tonight. Much respect to DeSmet and their coaching staff, and we're happy to be moving on to the finals. Our goal since last year, we walked off the field in Herreid and lost in the semifinals to the eventual champion. And our kids, since that day, were committed to finishing. And we're working hard for 21 seniors that have graduated before this group of kids to finish some unfinished business, which is winning the last football game.
Trev Seiler and all those guys, congratulations to the Nasty 9. They got their 40th takeaway in this game. Their goal was to get 40 takeaways by the end of the year. They got it in this game, and they get to play one more.
Nasty is good. Yeah, they lost in the semis in 9B last year. Herreid Selby in 9A this year, getting back with another chance to go. So 9B now to finish it up. And Del Rapids, St. Mary's at Avon, Jandy.
Yeah, this is a team that started out the year, spreading their offense, and they switched to this double wing, and, they lost their first 2 games of the year, came back strong, and they got a nice lead going into this one. Nick Gaspar had a great night for Dell St. Mary.
Gaspar, another grab here, and that'll lead to a Lucas Flemmer touchdown for St. Mary.
By the way, Ross Flemmer, 149 wins coming into this game in his 20 years at Dell St. Mary, so that was big.
Cards get up 14-0. Avon coming back, though. Brady Birama busting one loose here. He had a couple of touchdown runs to keep Avon in it. And again, Avon unbeaten coming into this game. So it's 14-6. Gaspar, again, this is a touchdown run for Gaspar, though, after he made those catches early on. So it's 20-6. Avon comes back, though, again with Brady Birama. Busted another long one from the other side of the field. He would get the 2-point conversion as well. So it's 20-14. Dell St. Mary still in the lead, but Avon actually got to the lead 22-14. But Avon coming back here. Riley Rooks Taschel, I believe, with a touchdown there. So Avon's up 30-20, but Gaspar breaking loose again. St. Mary cuts it to 30-26.
Yeah, Cardinals down 2 scores in the fourth quarter, and they find a way with Gasper, and in the passing game, C.J. Smith connecting to get one. And look at that, Dell St. Mary's back in the Dome, 2nd season in a row. Coach Ross Flemmer gets his 150th victory at St. Mary.
Gabe Lindemann with that last touchdown grab for St. Mary after they were down 30-20, come back and win it 32-30. So St. Mary taking on the winner of Potter County and Faulkton. Jandy, and this is Hunter Niederbaumer with a Faulkton touchdown early. But Potter County got it going, scored the next 3 touchdowns. Grant Lukens
is my guy. He's a dual threat quarterback for Potter County, and he's maybe the best player in this class that I've seen play this year.
Battlers got up 22-6. Garrett Kramer with a touchdown there for Faulkton, but that was it as Potter County 22-12 final here as they get to 10-2, and they are into the championship taking on Del Rapids St. Mary.
Well, we did it. That's quite a performance. Congratulations to everybody. We're gonna put a little bow on this right after the break.
All right, we'll be back. Yeah, run down the brackets and the game times coming up for the championship games next week.
Varsity Sports Live on Midcoast Sports is presented by Avera Orthopedics and South Dakota State University.
All right, we got to go. You have a preview coming up online.
Yep. Check out all the brackets, all the previews, all of our picks on Football Insiders on our YouTube channel coming up Wednesday.
See you next Friday.